Greetings sailors and welcome back to World of Warships and a bit of gameplay with the Jaeger. I was hoping to record at the weekend, but I've actually been working for the last 4 days in a row, so today is the first day I've actually really had the time or energy to sit down and do video stuff. So I was able to grind out the necessary tokens to get this basically before the missions ran out, but like just before the missions ran out. You probably are aware of it already, but the précis is very weak but fast firing and fast moving torpedoes. Very good concealment, especially at tier 9, but it doesn't have a smoke screen and it's not super fast or anything like that. It does have a heal though. I could be using Captain Swirsky on this, which I'm probably always pronouncing wrong, and that does have a skill that would let me get an even faster reload time, but I don't know if that's going to be a compatible set of skills, because I've spent some Elite Captain XP to get Swift in Silence, and it does give me a longer battery reload, but the main battery is kind of almost irrelevant on this. You've got 3 single guns, and you're only firing high explosive, so yeah, it's not like you even have the capability of citadeling things really. So it really is all about sneaking around, pumping out as many torpedoes as possible, and doing a kind of death by 1,000 cuts play style. Another reason why this is taking a little bit longer, and the reason why my name is in pink at the top, is because I did try playing this yesterday, and a couple of games in a row, for some reason, I would be in the battle for about a minute, and then the client would kick me out, and I'd come back to find that I was dead, and the game had obviously decided that I had closed the client myself. My internet was fine. Normally if this happens, it's my internet dropping or about to drop, but no, my internet was absolutely fine, so there was some point in the connection between myself and the wargaming servers where it was just blipping for long enough that it was kicking me back to the login screen on the client, and by the time I'd logged back in, of course my ship had gone forward in a nice straight line and been spotted and sunk by the enemy. So therefore I got a penalty through no fault of my own, but hey. So, actually we do have AP shells. I was thinking that I only had HE because the rest of the new line only has HE. But no, okay, you do have AP shells, so that is a possibility. But with only 3 guns, yeah, you're not going to be doing that much. So really, it is all about the sneakiness. There are a couple of ways in which I could fine-tune this more. I would quite like Superintendent to get the extra heal. And I could possibly buff the running time of the engine boost. But it seems to be working okay with the default time at the moment. I have the captain's cat on my knee at the moment, by the way, so if you hear unexpected noises or me going "ow," it's because I've just been stabbed. But yeah, I think he's... What are you doing, Sam? Are you deciding... No, okay, you're just turning around the other way. Okay. It's fine. I can play around a cat. I've had to do it many times before. Something I get used to. Well, I have to get used to because, you know, he is the cat that must be obeyed. And to disturb his royal presence would obviously be quite sacrilegious. Yes. There have been many abandoned cups of tea over the years where I've put a cup of tea on, left it to steep on the worktop, come back through, sat down to like look at Reddit for a couple of minutes or whatever, and a cat appears and decides he's going to go on my knee, and by the time he's decided to move again, oh, that's a wall of torpedoes. By the time he's decided to move again, bye cruel world, the cup of tea has been abandoned. Yes, that was the enemy Jaeger just preemptively aiming there. Okay. Well, okay. Sometimes these things happen. Hey, at least it wasn't the client disconnecting me this time. Yeah. Well, okay then. So as you can see, reasonably close end to this game. It's just the one enemy Jaeger left. It might even be the one that killed me, actually. But obviously, you know, it was my contribution to this match that ended up being the decisive factor. Clearly. Yeah. Oh, I can't even keep a straight face saying that, but yeah, this enemy Jaeger just basically fleeing for their life at this point, and even if they do get away, we're going to win on points, but no, they're not going to get away. They're rapidly running out of map. Well, they might actually, in fact they will, get away with surviving, even though this obviously wasn't exactly a glorious battle for me. I mean, it still featured a Jaeger at the end, it just wasn't my Jaeger. So yeah, their extreme sneakiness meant that they were able to keep ahead of everybody. I guess the Des Moines was out of radar, so that just left people with Hydro. So yeah, and actually they managed to get a pretty respectable score for being on a loss along with that Minotaur. So that was a fairly hard fought battle, all things considered. Just didn't involve me very much. I really failed to register that I was radio located, and of course I turned the moment I saw the Petro bearing down, and that was what doomed me, because then I caught that broadside of torpedoes that had been fired. But sometimes these things happen. So this time we're on the Greece map, domination mode. This is going to be... okay, interesting. We don't have any air detection or subs to worry about. We do have a Moskva. There's also an Ushakov, which I don't think I've encountered many of. There's one Jaeger on the enemy team. The Kunming may have radar. I think that gets the option of radar. That division generally might be one to look out for. But otherwise, aside from the enemy Jaeger, I think I'm generally the sneakiest thing here. You're even slightly sneakier than the Shimikaze. There's not that many things that have 5.4 stealth at high tiers. I'm struggling to think if there's anything that has below 5.4 stealth. I don't think there is. I think that's the lower limit at higher tiers. If you want lower stealth than that, or lower surface detection, you really have to go down to the very low tiers. It used to be a strategy for the limit was imposed for divisions of 1 tier difference. You would, and obviously it still wouldn't work these days because of the changes they made to flooding way back when, but back when flooding was a much more serious threat and you could just troll division your way with sort of any combination of tiers, essentially. You would have literally people taking Umikaze, the tier 2 Japanese destroyer, in, and I have registered, by the way, I have noted. And of course the torpedoes would do pitiful damage, but it had an incredibly low, it was something like 5.2, like it was a very, very low detection radius. Of course, back in the day there were fewer radars and things to worry about as well. So people would troll division with it and basically just use it to stack flooding on things. And it was so sneaky, and it could fire its torpedoes so fast that it didn't matter the torpedoes did barely any damage, it was the flooding that was the killer. So, yeah, fortunately that's not a thing that can happen anymore. Did I say it was 3 sets of torps? It's not, it's 4 sets of torps. It's not quite a high-tier Derpski. The Derpski is a bit of a different beast in that the torps do a lot more damage at their tier, and it's obviously a very quick reload. It's what, a 20-odd second reload on the Derpski? Okay, so it's not the enemy Elbing, it's not the Elbing, Jäger, because obviously there's smoke there, so it's something other than the Jäger. It's going to be one of those 4. Actually, radio location on this would probably be a not bad choice. But I would then have to choose carefully whether I wanted Superintendent or Adrenaline Rush. And I do already have a pretty good torp reload without the benefit of Adrenaline Rush, so possibly Superintendent for the extra heal would actually be the better thing to go for. Oh, hello. It's the Vampire too. Well, I forced them out, but I can't smoke up my... Oh! No! No! Torpedoes! Oh, come on now! It was Jaeger... Not Jaeger, it was Elbing torpedoes as well, the slow-ass ones. What were you doing there? Okay. Is this one of those days? It's one of those days, apparently. Let's just gaze upon my poor sinking wreck slipping beneath the waves at the start of the match once again. Oh my god. I mean, I'm half tempted to restart this recording, but you know what? No, let's go with it. Sometimes playing World of Warships is like this. Sometimes this is just what happens. Sometimes you have days where it just doesn't work and you get sunk repeatedly and you can't seem to do anything right. And apparently this is one of those days. Yeah, I think our hopes of a last minute turnaround on this one are probably non-existent. Obviously, this time, rest of the team, total noobs. I played flawlessly. It was everyone else's fault. Yes. Yes. Can this streak go on? Let's find out. Might I actually get a game where I do some damage? Who knows? Place your bets now. So once again, lucky matchmaking in that, again, no subs or carriers. Still one radar, possibly, no, 2 radars, and possibly 3, if the Minnow has radar. Yeah, some tier 8s this time. Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing things wrong, or if, I don't know, maybe I'm just not playing well. Maybe I'm just getting a little unlucky. Maybe some combination of all 3. I haven't played a lot of games in this yet. It's not exactly a totally unique play style, but it is also not quite like any other destroyer. There are other destroyers that have some of these characteristics, but I don't think there's another destroyer that is both smokeless, has very low detection, but also very, very weak torpedoes that are, you know, really, really fast. So yeah, it's interesting in just that it is something that we don't quite have all in one package, but we do have the individual parts as part of other ships that are in the game. But maybe just something about it is throwing me, or I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe it is just a combination of bad luck, inexperience. Who knows? So again, I'm radioed located, but this time there is an island I can in theory use, and I can't get sort of not quite cross-dropped, but I was dropped from an unexpected direction. I didn't pay attention to the fact. I was so focused on the vampire coming out the smoke screen that I did not register that there was another smoke screen that posed a potential threat. Yeah. But this time, I mean, there is, again, an enemy division, but it's not multiple destroyers in a division. So there's the Minotaur. I guess we'll find out very shortly if the Minotaur has got radar. Looks like they're going to park up quite close to that island, in fact. Not quite enough of a guess on those torpedoes to hit the Minotaur, though, in terms of where they've parked themselves. And yeah, that would appear to be a radar Minotaur. That is not the Balti. The Nevsky's too far away. And this time we're going to avoid the torpedoes. So let's pop the speed boost. We're end on to the Minnow, so that's not such a threat, but the Hipper is maybe a problem. So that's interesting. You don't see radar Minotaurs terribly often. And it's a bit of a... like, you are always taking a gamble if you try and take a radar Minotaur, but it can work out very nicely. The fact that they're just sat out in the open and no one else has really shot at them is good for them, but I don't think anyone's really in a position to. Apart from maybe that Yamato. I think they're shooting at them. Just, yeah, not all that effectively. So the Elbing is having a go as well, but the Elbing's a bit of a bigger target, I suppose. Eating all kinds of damage. Oh yeah, no, that Elbing is not doing well. Right, is the Minotaur radar still going? Not sure. Anyway, Elbing clearly decided they were going to go and try get the A-cap, but that didn't quite work out for them. That's not really a ship I would try and contest caps in that much anyway, to be honest. Right, let's just pattern our torpedoes out in a slight spread. I could, I mean, I was mentioning captain skills before. I could actually even, oh yeah, there goes the Elbing. I could get an extra 5 knots on my torpedoes if I take the relevant captain skill for that as well. So I could have even faster torpedoes, but I don't know if it's super worth it. Anyway, this time we are going to get some hits, but like you have to get a fair few hits for it to actually cause significant damage. There we go. 3 hits, and we have a flooding going. I think I might actually get this cap as well, which is quite nice. Alright, so we have this side. We're actively pushing on this side. I think that's where the Napoli died, when they were trying to push in towards that flank, and the Halland managed to get them. But yeah, we got this mid-cap, which is nice. Marseille does have Hydro. I'm really hoping that Minotaur gets taken out. I'm not entirely sure what the Minotaur's strategy is there, to be honest. Yeah. Just relying on the super heal. Yeah, you have to have a certain boldness to play a radar Minotaur. But I think that might be a bit too bold. And not cautious enough, and not using islands enough, because there are some islands that you can make decent use of on this map. Also, hooray! By the way, if you bet that I would sink with doing no damage, you were wrong! You lost, I don't know whatever you bet, but whatever you bet, you lost it. And I won, so hand it over. Give me all your money. All the money in your pockets. That's how that works, right? Yeah, anyway, so we have slightly more free reign to press up. And there is the Nevsky down there, but they are way down there. Minotaur's still alive somehow. I guess they were able to just get unspotted. And that's got to be the Baltimore that's capping on the other side as well. But if we can kind of secure this flank, roll things up, and some torps there, and then some other torps on the Vermont. Yeah, we might actually be able to do something in this game. The other flank's not looking too great though. The Belfast 43 just got some. Is there another Halland? Is there 2 Hallands? There are 2 Hallands, so there is another Halland. Maybe it's a Halland that's in the A-cap. Oh, it's there. Okay, the Halland on the Kid. San Martin finally was like, oh yeah, maybe I should use radar. We're also now in range of the Nevsky. We're going to be a little bit careful about before I get too gung-ho about things. This Vermont shouldn't last too much longer. I could open fire, but honestly your firepower is kind of a bit pathetic. And I would still be, I would be, like, even if the Vermont goes down, which they will very shortly, I'd be in range of the Nevsky's radar. We're about to get torps back, though. We can put those in the direction of the Nevsky. I think they're going to be in the shadow of the island. Yeah, okay, we won't bother putting out the other 2. So the enemy Halland on this flank is kind of covered a bit by the Nevsky being there. I don't really want to push into a Nevsky. The heal does give you some leeway though. It's just you don't have a huge amount of hit points, especially compared to some of the high tier ships, high tier destroyers. But it's not like it's disastrously low. I mean, you can look at that Harbin's only got 26,000. Some of the cruisers at this tier do kind of struggle a bit. Oh, there's more. Okay, the Erland is still on that flank apparently. The Nevsky is kind of pulling back. Let's see if we can find this Haaland, because otherwise they're going to be a bit of a pain. Well, they obviously are just spotting. We can outspot them. But I'm still very wary of this Nevsky. In fact, if I can spot the Nevsky, that'll help my allies as well. Okay, the Erland's coming this direction as well. So, I will have somebody with firepower. So I can do the spotting, but I can't necessarily do the actual firepower. And there goes the Saint Martin. Yeah, so I don't know how much longer we're going to have the middle cap. There's a radar. I don't want a radar. And there's the Haaland. You going to fire back at me, Haaland? No, Nevsky's definitely going to fire at me. Right, let's go and get both of those. We're quite content to retain stealth. So, because I opened fire, now I just have to be spotted. Okay. This is one of those situations where it's annoying that somebody is like there and in a position where you've kind of got to deal with them, but it's taking you away from the rest of the map. We're going to get any of these. Maybe one. Or are they going to run out of range? Oh, we got one! Okay. I still have the Erlands nearby. This is why I'm thinking Superintendent would be a useful idea to get that extra heal. 3 heals is not bad, but 4 heals definitely better. Right, we're just, I think, going to intersect that Thunder if I fire these now. So downside of having very fast torpedoes is sometimes if you're trying to... Oh no, he's turning too much. Okay. If you're trying to fire to intersect somebody, yeah, they might... I was having a thought there, it's gone. I don't know. Anyway, sometimes it's not necessarily an advantage. Right, unless the Haaland opens fire this time, I'm not going to open fire. The Nevsky's probably going to have radar back again fairly soon as well. Anyway, something. Sometimes it's a disadvantage, and I had a reason why, and then my brain's just gone, nope! I'm sure I'll figure it out about 5 minutes after I've finished recording. Okay, right, we really haven't moved away from the sea cap. I don't know if this is going to be a win, to be honest. I'm really working with minimal support here. And trying to hit a cruiser that knows you are there is always a slightly tricky proposition. Yeah, there's the radar. Especially if it's one with radar. Fortunately, it's just the Nevsky that's firing at me, and not the Thunderer as well. And it being Nevsky means the Russian radar doesn't last quite as long. We might even get some... maybe. We may have slightly forgotten that I have torpedoes. Yeah, we're just kind of getting our butts handed to us at this point. Is that going to be enough? No, not quite. Ah, well, this is a pity. The match where I do manage to do some damage and... yeah, we get a bit slammed. But I might even do another one. Like, I don't normally do 4 matches in a recording, but then I don't normally spend the first 2 matches getting just absolutely nailed without doing any damage in the first minutes of the match. It is a slightly unusual thing. Yeah, the funny thing is we're still fairly equal on points because we had both caps for quite a long time. But that's kind of not being the case anymore. Yeah, I don't think we're coming back from this. We would have to pull out a fairly extraordinary performance against enemies that have a fair bit of health left. The Thunder is not even kind of coming towards us, it's just... Yeah. Nevsky is protected by the island. Can I drop on the Baltimore, maybe? Give that a go. Guess he's currently radaring the Erland, so... it's shorter range, but obviously longer duration, so we want to steer clear of that. This is where having Swift in Silence comes in very, very useful. I don't often take it, because it does come at the cost of firepower, but just because the firepower is not quite fully irrelevant, but mostly irrelevant. It's sort of, it's not really a loss in any sense of the word. Right, I'm sort of getting rapidly boxed in here, aren't I? Let's pop the speed boost. You can go south and maybe try and land some hits on the Thunderer, but that Holland is still down there somewhere. I'll try one drop on the Nevsky. If the Baltimore goes down, that will be very useful. Hopefully he's too occupied with trying to dodge at the moment. Not thinking about... oh, the Moskva's still alive as well. Not thinking about popping a radar, which would be awfully inconvenient, but there's about to be torpedoes going past, so they might suddenly go, oh yeah, let's radar. Oh, I got Combat Scout, apparently. Been doing something. What's Combat Scout? Overall damage caused must be amount to at least 20% of the total base HP of all. Apparently in this game 120k spotting was enough for Combat Scout. Okay. That's a Thunderer. You have been a very cautious Thunderer. Even at this stage of the game, they're still all the way down on the eye line, letting their cruisers take all of the everything. Yeah. But despite that, you know, still very much winning. Oh, the Marseille's down, but the Moskva ain't looking too healthy either. Oh no, he burned out. Never mind. I spoke too soon. I spoke very much too soon. There's also a kid around. I don't want to get into a gunfight with a kid, but I suspect I'm going to get into a gunfight with a kid, whether I like it or not. I think even if you pumped all of your skills and upgrades into making the guns fire a bit faster, I mean the base reload 4.5 is not bad considering these are 150mm guns, but even if you maxed out everything, I don't think it would help you all that much. No, okay, we're just gonna lose this one on points, I think. The Nevsky might even be out of radars at this point. So I guess unless I run into the kids, this is pretty much it. So there it is. It was a defeat indeed. I actually at least did something in this game though. I'll take it. Yeah, a lot of our team never really got out the C cap, and we got kind of boxed in. We couldn't even deal with the stuff to our south, so yeah, the Holland that was on this flank really didn't even do much except be a bit of an annoyance. Yeah. Oh well, their Baltimore did pretty decently at least. Over 2k base XP. 1200 XP on a loss though, it's not nothing, and Combat Scout, I don't actually have that many of those. Yeah, 7 apparently. I don't know how 120k spotting was enough to get it in this match, but apparently it was. Ha! Well, finally top tier, but my luck entirely ran out as regards submarines and carriers. In fact, the enemy team not only has a carrier, but they've got a hybrid as well, and I think 2 of their 3 cruisers are I keep getting, in my mind, I keep getting the South American and the Spanish ones mixed up, but, you know, Asturias is definitely Spanish, so that does not have radar. And it's tier 7, so it wouldn't have radar anyway. Yeah, but Alaska and San Diego definitely do. So, top tier. But, yeah. Oh, and also it's a standard game. I mean, at least I don't have to worry about contesting caps, I guess. So that's a bit less awkward considering the setup. It means we're not going to have planes buzzing overhead, caps trying to spot destroyers that are trying to cap. And given that I don't have smoke, you know, you don't really have a lot of options except run away at that stage. But, yeah, so this is one of those very rare occasions where I won't complain too bitterly about it being a standard game. But, you know, I'll still complain a little bit. Okay, first thing spotted. In fact, first two things on this flank. Salmon and a San Diego. There's a Monarch. I don't really want to be near the San Diego. Is that the one with the SAP shells? I think it is. We do have an island between us and them, though. Which I will fully intend to use. This does, at least, unlike some... I occasionally get premiums that they decide, oh yeah, that doesn't need any kind of ASW warfare. This fortunately does, and it actually has quite a nice little animation. You see the launchers at the back, and if I hit G, and oh, there's Hydra. That's going to be the San Diego. Oh, the Alaska's on this flank as well. Excellent. So yeah, that's quite nice. It's you know, 10 out of 10 for the art department or animation department or whatever you want to call it. You're going for the Santander, okay. Oh, and there's an enemy Jaeger on this flank as well. I mean, if you want to unmask yourself, Jaeger. Sure. Let's not run into your torpedoes, though. I've already done that once today. I noticed nobody else firing at the San Martin. Oh, no, don't take the torpedo! Ah! I swung too wide. Okay. At least I didn't die to the torpedoes this time. But that's still annoying. This turns out to be a very bad flank to be on, because both the San Martin and the Alaska are here, the enemy Jaeger is here, and there's one of the submarines. I mean, if I was on the other flank, there would still be a submarine, but, you know, it's kind of like the combination of all of the things together is rather unpleasant. And when you have good stealth, but there's radar around, I mean, you kind of effectively don't have the good stealth at that point, unless you want to take extreme risks. You have to stay away from the things that would most certainly kill you if you get too close. It does help to know exactly what radar you're facing in terms of its potential duration. That's one of those things where a bit of game knowledge certainly does help you out a lot. What is the Chervis doing? Did you think you were going to go for their cat and somehow immediately be very sneaky and... I don't know. Bit of a waste of a destroyer. Oh. Right, are we going to do anything to that Alaska? It would be nice. I'm really having to keep my head on the swivel for torpedoes here, both between the Jaeger and the submarine. Are they running out of range? Yeah, they're running out of range. It's a pity. They would have more or less been on track as well. It's very tempting to go for that sub. Oh, you're on the surface. Let's see if the enemy Jaeger decides to... no. I don't know who... Right, that's sub-surveillance. It was a token effort at dropping some airdropped torps, but yeah. Ah, San Diego! Right. You were just lurking behind the island the entire time. No, I cannot go for that submarine then, that would be purely suicidal. Okay, let's just back off. The enemy Jaeger doesn't seem to be being particularly pushy here, but Yeah, and there's Nebraska planes coming this way as well. Excellent. That's not what we wanted. I don't know if they're searching for me or... No, I think they are searching for me. Are you in a division, Nebraska? No, you're just being a good teammate. How dare you be a good teammate? How dare you? Ouch. Yeah, there's not a lot I can do here. It's not like this is some monster AA boat and he's not actually trying to drop on me. He's just trying to keep me spotted. The AA on this, as you can imagine, for what is sort of essentially a 1910s design, pretty pathetic. Right, I don't know if the Colossus is also trying to come for me or maybe go for the North Carolina. We do also have the sub that's taking a bit of attention here, but... Yeah, go away, Nebraska. Don't like you. Ouch! It actually managed to clip me. That's all of my heals gone already. Right, so yeah, we can't really do much except just run away now. I'm just going to run away. It's very boring, but that's all I have the ability to do. Oh! I'll take that, though. This time it's me doing it to someone else, not right at the start of a match, but I'll absolutely take that. Was that even aimed at them, or was I trying to hit the Alaska? I don't know. The Alaska is getting worryingly close. Anyway, at least that's one thing that's out of the way. Oh, no, that's the radar. I don't think it can actually do anything to me, but, you know, it might send more planes in my direction, which I don't particularly like the sound of. Somehow our Santander managed to survive. Get their heel going. Right, there could be some longer range fire coming in from the Monarch. That submarine's still very much around. Very low health though. But I'm going to call that somebody else's problem for now. Okay, looks like the Alaska's just going to stick behind the island for the time being, maybe? They're trying to avoid the North Carolina? Okay, there goes the sub. I mean, it really is the main threat at the moment. We'll see if they peek their head out. I'm surprised they haven't been able to pick up the sub. I guess that's the focus of their effort at the moment. Right, I just want to get out of radar range before it has time to pop off again. This is where, I mean, Swift in Silence and both the speed boost. You can get a decently respectable speed out of this thing. Not quite 45 knots, but we're not too far off. Still plenty of things that can run you down, of course. Oh, North Carolina, what did you take? You were relatively healthy not long ago. Also, I'm pretty sure that's just the standard German voice captain. I don't think they've done an Austrian accent captain. Which, you know, they could have had Arnie. If you wanted to... Apparently that's a super, like, rural Austrian accent. But still Austrian. Although maybe more people think of him as, like, American at this point. I don't know. I mean, he has literally been the governor of an American state, so... Yeah. He's kind of like me, though. He never quite lost his accent of his place of birth. Which, for those who watched me on Cirque on stream, you know, way back in the day, lots of jokes about me being a fake Scotsman. That's kind of where that originated. So even though I've lived in Scotland for pretty much most of my life at this point, it still don't sound like it, not even remotely. And my brother, annoyingly, was always the opposite. He basically only had to live somewhere for like maybe half a year, And he's not quite maybe passed for a native in terms of accent, but he would actually sound like he was from the place. It's very annoying. He's in New Zealand now, so who knows? Maybe he'll have that New Zealand sort of slightly soft, twangy voice going on this time next year. This is really not going that well. Yeah, this push has been thwarted. The Alaska is way far back though, and the San Diego, as far as I know, is still just sat behind that island. The Alaska might get taken out by the... there we go, so that's nice. That was a threat, certainly. And as long as I don't have to worry about air spotting... Oh, there we go. Yeah, they really were just behind that island the entire time. As long as I don't have to worry about air spotting, I can actually stand to get a lot closer to this Monarch now. Just keep pumping out the torpedoes, making them second guess. And they hopefully will either back off the cap or I'll get to destroy them. I suspect the Lexington might start helping as well, because they are going to be by far the closest thing. Yeah, you just have your sights firmly set on getting the cap, don't you? I don't know, like... At least they're not down defending their own cap, I guess. But I think they have enough things defending their own cap that... Like, we have full health to Grosser, apparently. Cherbourg's going to go down. Grom ain't particularly stealthy. I guess the de Grosser has also been largely sat behind islands. Yeah, there goes the Cherbourg. And we are getting some help now from the CV. San Diego going for the sub. Does San Diego have radar? In my mind it does, but it's one of the Atlantas, right? Maybe it doesn't have a radar. Maybe I'm just getting horribly confused. It's one of those things where once upon a time, back in the day when I was a CC, you know, they would talk about, oh, well, we want to keep things consistent so that, you know, people will know if it's a high-tier American cruiser, it'll have radar, or if it's a high-tier Russian cruiser, it'll have radar, or if it's German cruiser, it'll have good hydro. And that's sort of more or less out the window at this point. Like, it's still maybe consistent within individual lines, but we now have such a mix of like special ships, premium ships that just like they don't conform, so it's difficult remembering. Does this particular ship have it? Does this particular ship not have it? Who knows? You just have to start remembering for each specific ship, and that gets harder and harder when there are more and more ships in play. Anyway, the San Diego has managed to nail the destroyer. Yeah, I'm getting some defense ribbons at least. I mean, between myself and the CV, this Monarch ain't gonna last, but there are now planes coming this way which are going to presumably be hunting for me. The fact that Colossus is there, though, I mean, it maybe gives the Grom an opportunity. And if the Monarch goes down, I might even be able to finish them off. Yeah, that might be my kill. That will be my kill. There we go. And then I don't have to really worry about being spotted so much. That Colossus pushing through the middle is a little unusual. Okay, anyway, yeah, you are searching for me specifically, rather than trying to spot our Lexington. But you are about to have to worry about a Grom at point blank. No, you don't care about the Grom, apparently. I would have thought you would call back your planes. No, you're going to have a pop at me first. Okay. Colossus. Well, they're dropping from behind, which is not such an issue, but especially as I'm actually outspeeding these torpedoes. But yeah, okay, they just did the one drop. Hello, Samuel. Meow. What? Honestly, the bigger problem is the fact I'm headed towards the border, but I think I've got enough leeway before they run out. Hello, Samuel. Meow, meow, meow. What? Yeah, as you can tell, he's no longer on my knee. He's now off my knee and meowing at me because something's not right with the world. And he demands that I fix it because that is my sole purpose in life. Right, sadly there goes the Grom. Actually got taken out by the Dyson. Yeah, the Degrus is finally coming out to play. That might be a little too late. The fact that I had to burn all my heals so early is really playing against me now. It gives me so much less leeway. I might see if I can spot the Colossus again. They presumably, yeah, they're focusing now on the Degrusser, which is a much more big, obvious target than a destroyer that might well be able to dodge. If the San Diego wasn't there, I'd be so tempted just to run up and pew my way. Oh no, okay, you took a little diversion to drop some fighters to try and keep me spotted, I guess. Oh, Nebraska also has so much. Yeah, we're not winning this. I mean, if the Degrusser somehow plays a blinder and manages to, like, kill a bunch of stuff, that'd be great. But I suspect they're just too many healthy enemies ranged against us. I can't even drop on that San Diego. I can try a drop. I'm almost tempted just to say the hell with it and go for the Colossus, but that San Diego is there. I don't think they do have radar. I think maybe they just have Hydro. But they are basically blocking me from getting to the Colossus. And I don't think the Degrusser has any way of shooting at them. And they're close enough that if the Colossus does decide that, hey, they're going to focus on spotting me, the San Diego is going to be a real problem. Degrusser's still alive, at least. Yeah. There's the real problem. Right, if it's SAP shells... oh, that's a good hit. We need to not basically give broadside, but we still have things to dodge. Yeah. And just trying to dodge all of the multiple... Oh, that was a nasty hit. All of the multiple things. We're also getting a very good demonstration of how pathetically bad the AA is on this. Yeah, either the San Diego or the planes are going to get me here, I think. Right, you're turning away. I don't actually have gun range for that, do I? Right, if the Degrusser is able to help with the San Diego, that's fine, but at this point, I think we're just perma-dodging planes for whatever remains of this match. Although if the Lexington can kill the Colossus, that would be a fantastic help for me. Because I can outrun these things in a straight line, but if it then turns around... Alright, the Colossus is down! Fantastic. That is very good news for me. I'm not sure what the Colossus's remaining planes are going to do. Try and go for the Degrusser, maybe. Try and finish him off. Okay, so I don't have to worry about being air-spotted by the Colossus anymore, but there's still the Nebraska. And I don't think we have enough time... no, we don't. We're at 24 seconds. And they've just absolutely cinched the victory. Okay, well, okay. Alas. Another loss. But this was by far the most challenging setup that we had between the air spotting and the radars and whatnot, so, and it being a standard game. Although it still would have been challenging even if it had been a domination game with this lineup. Oh well, there you go. But it's all honest, as presented gameplay. The Jaeger can definitely do good things, but apparently I just wasn't able to manage that today. Anyway, it's an interesting little ship. Like, if I want to spam out torpedoes at things, the Benham is still the absolute go-to. But Jaeger exists as an interesting, albeit definitely weaker alternative. So that's it for this from both myself and a meowing impatient cat. Hello, Samuel. Meow. Meow. Samuel saying you should subscribe to my channel? He definitely is. He's not swearing at me or complaining about the poor service or anything like that now. He's saying you should subscribe to my channel, aren't you, Samuel? Yes. Yes, if you would like to do that, that would be much appreciated. Sam gets one treat for every subscriber. That's definitely not a lie. And if you otherwise enjoyed the video, then yes, you can do all the other usual things down underneath it. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.